if he can go and do like a perfect technically dance, it might not touch people at home. They might not even care. We have to give them something to experience with us, to have a good laugh, to have a good time. Look at Jeremy Vine. He's the
18
the one
at the weekend and still being saved.
I know, but you can't help yourself, but you want to wait and see what he's gonna do and when it comes. That's the same thing.
It's like a massive spider, Jeremy Vine, isn't he? But it's something eminently watchable about him.
But he is so nice. He is such a nice person, and it's so fun to see him actually, trying his hardest and working his best, sort of, and do you know what the show is about? Sort of people like him as well, about novices, because you have to understand, yes, there are some people on the show with a lot of dance experience, but there are some who have none. And, we have to support those as well. So,
Kristina, your relationship with John Sargent was one of the reasons why he stayed in the competition so long. And your relationship with some of the other dancers you've been with has been very different. When you first signed up to Strictly, did you ever think that there would be such an intensity of interest and so much coverage of what you got up to outside of Strictly Come Dancing, if you know what I mean?
Do you know what? It's just as I said in my book, it's a fascinating fact for me myself. I have no idea why, sort of tabloids got so obsessed with my private life. And, it's ridiculous, really, because, again, for me, it's very hard to understand because I was raised in that sort of Soviet Union mentality where everything should be about your work and what you sort of who you are as a teacher, as a dancer and so on. And when sort of like there is more interest into your private life and this and that, it's hard, I don't read, press as well anymore about others as well. I don't really find it interesting for myself because a lot of people in show business I know personally now, and I make my decision who they are and what they are based on my personal relationship with them. I don't judge people, and I always say the same thing, to others. Well, you don't know this person. Maybe if you meet this person, you will have another opinion. So I think it is fascinating to me why it's such a big subject of sort of conversation and fascination. What who people dating and why they're dating and whatever. So I think, everybody have a right to privacy, and I know it was pointed out if I've done before photo shoots, or something like that in Hello Magazine, then it's sort of fair play, then the others can, other papers can sort of write whatever they want. I don't see it the same way because when you do something like this, a controlled PR with, let's say, a nice publication, like Hello Magazine, you basically, this is what you want to show and present. It's a positive piece. You never would want it to be negative anyway. So
I guess from a purely newspaper's point of view, and I'm trying to put myself in this position, and I think, right, you've got the most loved TV programme on the telly, probably the most watched. You've got a fantastic dancer and a very well-known celebrity who is on the show as well, and they fall in love. I mean, it's a newspaper's dream, isn't it? So you can you can see why they'd be interested, both in your relationship with Joe Calzaghe and then with Ben after that, with Ben Cohen. So I guess for them, it's like, why wouldn't they be interested?
And it's obviously there was a lot of relationships on the show, and they still are. And, I understand it's going to be always an interest. I just don't think it always has to be in a negative way or it has to be such an intrusion,
Yeah.
Are you talking particularly about, the headlines I know that you've taken exception to are the things like Man-Eater and Siberian Siren.
Yeah.
When you read those, I know you're giggling about them now, but when you see them on the front page of the paper, what does that do to you?
Do you know what? I went through a very rough time with that. Very rough time, and it was affecting me terribly, as you read in my book as well, because at that time I also found out that my mother had to go through a lot of tests about her breast cancer and everything.
You were very depressed.
It was awful. It was awful because
suicide.
I just wanted to escape. I want to leave. I wanted to go back to Russia. I wanted to be next to my mom and sort of be there for her. And that guilt was overwhelming for me. It was eating me from inside, every single day, every night I was thinking about that. On top of it, dealing with this, it was a very dark time. I don't wish it upon anyone, and so it was very rough because I think whatever happens in your private life, but when you have your sibling, suffering with something very scary, like possibility of having cancer, something like that. It's just overwhelming stress, which you can't really get rid of. There is nothing in the world can just switch your mind of that. And yes, it's affected me greatly. And I've dealt with this, I spoke about it and I put it in my book, and I think it was the right thing to do. But, like I said, I don't wish it upon anyone never
It's
should
interesting you
anybody
say
suffer with that.
Because we had Ben Cohen on the programme a few months ago, and we asked him about the press stories about your relationship as well. This is what he had to say, Kristina. Have a listen.
Personal stuff should stay personal, and it's what I will say. It's very difficult to stay quiet on things that 50 to 60% is not true, and the other 40 or 50% is a very, very twisted version of the truth. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to stay quiet and listen to and read things that are just very hard to take. Especially, the reason why I do want to keep things private is because of my children. And that's that full stop. And unfortunately, if they keep writing about things, and there's not much I can do about it.
But as a man who stood up so vehemently against bullying, when you see, and I'm not going to talk about all the stuff that's been in the papers, but when you see, for example, your dancing partner in Strictly, Kristina Rihanoff, when you see that she is considering coming out of Strictly because she feels that she's being bullied, how does that make you feel? Because it sort of crosses the various things that you're working on, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I have to say, and I have no qualms of saying it. The biggest bullies are the media, and they can hide behind the fact that they are from a source or from somebody else, and it is very difficult. And it is very difficult to be advised to ride this out. Don't rise to it. It is very difficult, unfortunately. But it's a very, very difficult position to be in.
Kristina, how do you feel listening to that?
I think he's 100% right, and also addressing the sort of, the online bullying and so on, the trolls on Twitter and trolls on Facebook and everything. I mean, it does start with the media, because these people who are hiding behind the keyboard, they feel like, okay, well, if the media can do it, I can do it. There is no punishment. There is no one who will say, who will address that. It's the easiest thing to do to bully somebody from behind, isn't it? From behind the keyboard, warriors.
And he sounds like a man who really wants to set the record straight, who really wants to speak out about this and give his side of it. And that must be very... But I don't think he feels that he can at the moment because, as he mentioned there, because of his children. But that must be very difficult for you as a couple to have to sort of be in the shadows almost, as it were.
Do you know what? We will deal with this. We're adults, and it's like I said, it's our decision, obviously, to address certain issues and stuff like that. But like I always said, it's something which affects us, and affected me very strongly. And you go through very dark times. You go obviously through pain of bullying and abuse, and then dealing on top of with all the other things in life. So I think all I can say, you basically become stronger. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about your real values. You learn a lot about people who really truly matter. You also learn who your true friends are. Because in this show business, what you find out that people for a little bit of coverage, for a little bit of PR, they will do anything and everything to get into the press, which actually we're completely the opposite. And you really see people, unraveling in front of your eyes. And unfortunately, it does happen. And it is very sad to see that you might lose friends and you might lose sort of belief in good in people. But in the end of the day, maybe it is for the better, because situations like that, you might not have a lot of friends after that, but you will have the real ones.
Yeah.
Kristina, one more question on this if we could. Can I just read you a quote from Craig Revel Horwood to Woman magazine? He says, when they first got paired together, this was you and Daniel O'Donnell, I think she was gutted, but it was rather obvious she wasn't going to get a hot young celeb after everything that has happened. It's natural to fall in love with your dance partner when you're spending so much time together, and Kristina's managed that a few times, but somehow I don't think that will be the case this time around. Do you think you were specifically paired with Daniel to avoid that happening?
Actually, the funny thing is, I asked producers to partner me with Daniel O'Donnell.
Did you?
And I asked her. You can ask the producer. I asked them. I said, I really would love to dance with him
Because you wanted to avoid the talk.
I just didn't want any more hassle, and I also thought that Daniel would be a lovely partner for me because, we were a good height for one another, and, other boys were very tall and Peter was slightly smaller, so he was perfect for Jeanette. And I thought Daniel would be absolutely wonderful to dance with. And actually, it's really sad when you read some misquotes in the press again that I didn't enjoy dancing with him. This is so sad because, like I said, I asked to be partnered with Daniel and we became great friends, and, all of us sort of get along well. And Majella and I, actually, we very much, admire each other, for what she's been through as well with her breast cancer situation, and exchange books and so on. And actually, I did ask Craig if he said that. He said he was misquoted.
Do you think we'll always will we always see you with a middle-aged man from now on then on Strictly, do you think?
Say it again.
Will we always see you with a Daniel O'Donnell type, do you think? Will you request that sort of dancer in the future?
Don't know. We'll see what happens next. But the thing is, the Daniel O'Donnells of the competitions are very important for Strictly because I think, he was a wonderful person to have on the show. Obviously a massive name, very much loved around the whole of the UK and Ireland, for who he is. I had absolutely blast working with him, and I've met a truly exceptional human being. And also obviously got really friendly with Majella. What's really sad to me, and I wanted to say it a few times, I feel really sad that the judges not really supporting people like Daniel Ainsley or Kirsty, let's say, people who are novices, people who come to the show with no experience of, let's say, dancing or so on. Yes, they might be performers, but never danced before, and it's very different, And to me, I think you have to support people like that. You have to encourage them. Like Daniel had every week after week, oh, you're not going for it, or you're not doing this. He was going for it at the best of his ability. We worked really hard. So I enjoyed my time with Daniel.
Kristina, and we've enjoyed our time talking to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, guys.
Very, very, Kristina, 5-second answer. Abby's on half term. She wants to know your favourite dress you've worn on Strictly. I meant to ask you it earlier.
I think I love my waltz dress with Daniel for the first week when I danced to The Irish Eyes Are Smiling. It was a gorgeous ballroom dress. So
there you go. Abby, there's your answer. Thank you for listening. Kristina, great to talk to you.
Thanks, guys.